My mother's name is Johnny Faye Edwards. She was named after her father, which is my grandfather. And all her life she worked as a maid, cleaning up houses for local people, the coach, the superintendent, various teachers. And she later got a job in the school district as a custodian, mopping floors, cleaning floors, whatever it took to take care of her 4 kids, which I was number 2 of the 4. And my mother was a hard worker. She did a lot of odd jobs, and she passed away in 1992, June of 1992. And I can remember that precisely, June 20th, 1992. And that's the day in which I really started understanding that life is temporary. And I started understanding that death is real. And a lot of strange thoughts came into my mind, but my life was opened up when she passed away. I started thinking about all the things that she taught me, all the things that I was expected to know one day in life, and it seemed like she passed a torch on to me. She passed away of breast cancer in 1992. And I believe, I graduated in 1978, and I try to remember when I started seeing symptoms of breast cancer. But it was kind of hard for me because I never dealt with it straight with her, because my grandparents, her parents, lived right next to us, and they dealt with everything related to her sicknesses, her gallbladder, her kidney stones, her low blood sugar. So I never did get the communication to me and my brothers. Even though we were old enough to know and realize all these, they kept it to themselves. But I think, and I don't want to put it on my grandparents and my uncles, which are her brothers and sisters, I believe that it was just the age of cancer where a lot of people just didn't know and a lot of people just didn't care. And it was the dark ages of breast cancer. It was a stigma to it. So I want to put it on that they didn't know. So how are you going to be able to communicate something to me? I knew something was happening because I started seeing my mama's bra and different signs that, what's this in the bra? And this was around 1979 that I feel like my mother started getting symptoms or getting thoughts about, this is something I need to be concerned about. So 1979. And then in 1974, I was playing sports and I noticed a lump in my breast on the right side. Small lump, unusual for a 7th grade boy. And then I said, Mama, this is what I got. What's wrong with it? She touched it and felt it, took me to the doctor, and the doctor said, we need to get some material on it. And my mama was concerned. I've only been in the hospital twice in my life. And we did some checkup on it and ran tests and like that, and it indicated nothing. Then a year later, the same thing in my left breast. So I think this put my mama on concern that when 79, when she noticed a lump in her breast, she needed to check it out. This kind of woke her up. And from then on, I started seeing little signs here and there. Because we lived in a small house and you can't avoid the people in your house. You know what's happening with everybody because you see it. Whether they're there or not there, you're looking, you're washing clothes, you're waking up in the morning. So these things are just evident to you, even though they're not going to tell you. People hid a lot in those dark ages. But for me, waking my mama up in 74 and 75 with those 2 lumps in my breast, those were the darker ages. And they gave my mama a chance to kind of say, hey, I need to look into this. Even though not much information is out there, especially for African Americans, I need to look into it. So you go back and say, when did I notice anything in breast cancer in my mama? I graduated from high school, I remember that. And my mama she wasn't an affectionate person. She liked to hug me sometimes. I didn't want to hug her. So we really didn't talk a whole lot to express these things like that. And we were in the dark ages, it seemed like. But then I started seeing my mama change a little bit, like she seemed like she was worried about something every now and then. But she was always an action-go person, going to do this, doing that, all type of different jobs with different people, always helping other people, going to church, still going to church. And then somehow, I must have been in my grandmother's house next door, and I heard them talking. And then I started seeing stuff around the house that gave me the impression that something was different. I saw my mama's bra, and I saw something that looked like an artificial breast or something, or a cushion or something that was in there. And I thought I heard my mama and grandmother and the aunts talking about a lump and some things like that. And I had heard little glimpses on the news about breast cancer, not much. But I kept seeing that in her bra laying around. So I'm thinking and putting two and two together that she had a mastectomy on her right breast. I just can't say how I realized that. I'm 17, 18 years old, got other things on my mind besides breast cancer and besides my mama having sicknesses and diseases and anything like that. So that never really plugged in my mind. But then I started seeing her have doctor appointments. My mama did smoke up to about 1975. I remember she'd always send me to go buy some Winston's. I go through the trail and buy 2 or 3 packs of Winston because she had that in her mind that I'm out of cigarettes. I need you to go run and get me some. And she drank, but she stopped doing that like when we were in high school. And I don't know how that affected everything, being in these dark ages of breast cancer. And then I started seeing her go to the doctor, the local hospital. And this started about 10 years before she passed away in 1992. But then she started later on going to Galveston. So when she started going to Galveston, then my grandma would say, you have to do this, and y'all have to do this, you have to maintain the house, you have to make sure you watch this, watch that. I knew something was happening. Things were kind of getting critical, or something was happening. And maybe they couldn't explain it to me. Maybe they didn't want to explain it to me, but I don't think they really could explain it to me. But something was happening. We're talking about 1985, 87. But I never really heard it from my mama then. She was really going through a battle. And I regret that. I wish we were on that level where we could really communicate. I was wise enough in understanding, to understand what she would be able to tell me and be able to deal with it and be able to help her if I needed to help her anyway. And my mama told me something that I remember. When I was 17, 18 years old, she kept telling me, I want you to get away from here. You're not going to be able to make something of yourself if you don't be around here. So in the 80s, I was in Palestine, 200 miles away. In the 90s, I was in Austin, 230 miles away. And then in 91, 92, when my mother was really having difficulties and chemo and as she passed away, I was in Long Beach, 260 miles away. I couldn't just run. I had kids, I had a family. I had 3-year-olds, I had 7-year-olds, I had 14-year-olds. So how could I run, especially when she has aunts and uncles, and that feels a guilt in me right now that I couldn't go back and do more for her. I think I probably took her to Galveston a couple times because nobody else could get off. So I took it off, left my kids, and just went down there and stayed down there and just took her to her little apartments and things like that. But I do remember 5 or 10 years before she passed, somehow they put her through this big tube or something and checked her body out. And I didn't know all the medical terms like that. And they just tried to see everything that was affecting her. But the real sitting down and understanding from my uncles and grandma and parents, they just didn't give it to me like I wanted. I should have got it. It's kind of strange. Because even right now, I'm very knowledgeable about breast cancer. And even my kids will get the information and communication, unlike 25 years ago. And there's no stigma. So toward 1990, 91, 92, we started going to Galveston more. John Seeley and Jeannie Seeley, which was in Galveston, they had better treatment at that time. And I guess it was something financially that was more affordable for us, if we even paid much at all. And I was seeing that she was having trouble finding somebody to take her next week to this appointment, take her this week to this appointment. Because my brothers all work, and a couple of us were married, and I'm 260 miles away from home. And I've got 3-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 14-year-olds trying to keep my job. I just started a job a year ago. Had some sick time, but it's not easy running down 260 miles to Houston, which just was a struggle for me. But I did take her a couple times. I took her and she got this and that. She told me what time she's gonna be over here and out of this apartment. I just sit at the beach and prayed. And then my mama told me, you probably gonna have to come pick me up at 3 o'clock. But how do you do it? You don't have transportation. So you have to pay people to take you over here, and hopefully they were patient enough to wait for you, and it's just difficult. It's just difficult. So we compare technology and treatment and assistance back then in the 90s to 2017. Some people say the squeaky wheel gets the oil. They have shuttles now, but we don't have transportation. Never had transportation. So how are we gonna get to these appointments? How are we gonna get to these treatments? How are we gonna get this information without the internet? How are we gonna get the information? We've gotta look in encyclopedias and get information from 5 years ago. Now you can get information this next 10 minutes about breast cancer. Even today I was looking at different stages of breast cancer. You can just look right now. You don't have to have a set of 26 encyclopedias and hope that somebody has a set down your street or in your family. Or wait for some documentary to come on that gives you information about breast cancer, and then you look around a month from now, then they say, oh, we're gonna change this information because it's not accurate. It's a big difference, but you have shuttles and everything you need right now. All you gotta do is call this number, and they'll give you assistance, or they'll lead you to assistance with breast cancer or other things. And you can get a mammogram and those things for $100. And a lot of those are offered free on certain days of the week in certain agencies. Back then, nobody wanted to talk about it. And nobody wanted anyone to know that they had breast cancer or a possibility of having breast cancer.